our staff support our students in a more beneficial way.
Absolutely.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
All right, so we have 3 reports remaining under superintendent reports, and they're just the annual updates in regards to some summer programming. So the first one is the summer school advancement report, and then we also have the school recovery report. So the difference between those 2 opportunities was summer advancement is for students to get ahead in classes. So those classes were available at no cost to students who qualified through free and reduced status. Transportation was offered, which we feel was a really great opportunity for our students, and you can see many students took advantage of the opportunity this summer. And then the summer school recovery was targeted to students who failed a class or multiple classes, and that was at no cost to all students, and transportation was provided. It's also important to note that this was the first year that we really did site-based recovery. So we had the full programs at both campuses this summer. The majority of the summer school advancement classes were online, though there were some in-person for a specific class. I think it was honors physics. But the summer school recovery, we did that in a more hybrid, blended fashion, because we still had to, we were under different guidance this summer for social distancing. So our recommendation as we move forward is for summer credit recovery to be more in-person, though we may still have some of the advancement classes in a blended fashion or online, because students seem to be successful with those. Questions about our summer school advancement or recovery reports?
I don't have a question, but I think it's great offering the transportation, giving kids a chance to get ahead too, right? Because I think so many times we're reactive and a kid failed and now we're trying to catch them back up. So it gives opportunities for them to get ahead in case they have a bad semester or whatever. So, thank you for doing that. I think that's a great plan.
Yeah, there's definitely things we want to improve upon next year, but this is something that we're looking to provide again in regards to transportation and the low cost or no cost opportunities, at least while we have the funding available.
Correct.
And then the last report is our summer bridge report, and that targets our incoming students who are in need of academic support, but we also utilize this time to acclimate them or reacclimate them to school. And again, transportation was provided for that.
Awesome.
Okay, that's the conclusion of my report.
Thank you. Thank you for your report, our superintendent. Now we're going to go to number 7 on our agenda, which is recognitions and awards. And we notice there's none for Central Campus, West Campus, or the district.
We actually do have
We
some for
do?
the district, yes.
Okay, well, I mean, I shouldn't say no district, because district is empty.
We haven't had recognition in a while, so we
Okay.
are excited to do some recognition. So I will go forward and ask Dr. Gibson and Mr. Hallahan to also join me.
Tenured staff.
So again, we haven't been able to do recognition in some time, social distancing, capacity limits, but we didn't want to delay this any further because we have important individuals to celebrate. And these are our newly tenured staff from our campuses. Now, not everybody could be here this evening, but I think more than ever, we need to thank our educators and the work that they are putting in right now, but also for the last, year especially. Nobody has done what they've done with the COVID pandemic, and the things that they've been able to accomplish with students is amazing. And I'm saying that not just as the superintendent, but as a parent. Our teachers have gone above and beyond, and so achieving tenure is not easy. We have a rigorous evaluation process, and we are so excited to call all these individuals part of our family. So not everyone could be here today, but I'm going to still say all their names and recognize them, and Dr. Gibson and Mr. Hallahan will help congratulate them, and then also give them a small token of appreciation. And then also, we will take a picture afterwards, and then I'm sure the board will want to take a short recess to congratulate them as well. So, with us today, and hopefully I say most of these names, well, but if I say your name wrong, please correct me. But Meza Abu Malu, Tyler Adams, Jeff Bernacki, Taylor Cochran, yeah, come on up, thanks. Nicholas Davis, Emily Domlin, Michelle Emmerich, Joseph Bekich, Michael Heilman, Caroline Krodiak, William Leck, Cameron Majerus, Erica Martinez, Carrie McClowski, Audrey Mentari, Chad Myris, Anna Murray, Jeffrey Peterson, Jonathan Rashid, Aaron Reed, Elizabeth Short, Wendy Venegas, Gloria Vivanco, Stanisha Walton, Kristen Webster, and Jennifer Kreider. So, so if we could, let's give them a round of applause.
We're going to have a brief recess at this time to congratulate our recipients, okay?
It's up now. It wasn't, no. I don't know. Did we have the video? Do we have the video?
Chart didn't have enough information, but I understand why.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't want to overboard, but like if there's additional things that you want, I mean, because it's, you know, I have hundreds of pages of information.
Well, no,
It's a
I
lot,
get it.
it's a lot,
I
yeah,
know,
it can
I
be a lot.
get it.
Yeah, so like
I'm
you
just
could,
learning the ropes.
yeah,
How to
absolutely,
get,
absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
We're thankful for always appreciating the district with awards, and we want to make sure that we appreciate them as much as we possibly can, because we want to encourage them during these times.
Absolutely.
So, we're going to move to our action item. And then our action item has to be done in a public hearing. So is there a motion to open up a public hearing for Joliet Central and Pathways Campus to opt out of breakfast after the Bell mandate?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Numer?
Yes.
Mr. Bean? Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Now, the public hearing of Joliet Central and Pathways Campus to opt out of the breakfast after the Bell mandate is now open for discussion. Is there any comments?
Hi, good evening.
I don't think it's on.
Brian Shaw, and I'm the district director of.
Mr. Shaw, I don't think your microphone's
Hit the
on.
mic on, Mr. Shaw.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Brian Shaw. I'm the district director of support services for Joliet Township. And I am here tonight just to talk briefly about the breakfast after the bell mandate and our recommendation to opt out for the 21-22 school year. Now, we still have a full breakfast program that's currently in place. This is a program that is in addition to the full breakfast program we already run. Just a little history, PA 990850 requires school districts to provide breakfast after the bell in public schools in which 70% of the students were eligible for free or reduced price lunches October of the preceding year. Breakfast after the bell means breakfast must be provided to all students after the instructional day has begun. Schools can decide the best method to provide breakfast after the bell. Some typical options that are out there include serving breakfast in classrooms, using grab-and-go carts or kiosks, or creating an extended passing period after first or second period so students can purchase meals in the cafeteria. Now, schools are allowed to opt out of the mandate for specific reasons, such as the cost of running the program is financially prohibitive. So Joliet West is exempt from the mandate since the number of free and reduced eligible students was below 70% in October of 2020. Joliet Central and Pathways are required to provide breakfast after the bell or to opt out. So I'm here tonight to recommend the district opt out for the following reasons. The cost analysis indicates that state and federal reimbursements will not cover the cost of implementing and operating a breakfast after the bell program. And again, this is a program outside of our normal breakfast program that's already in place. We will receive just over $2.45 a breakfast in reimbursement this year. And this amount is actually a little higher because we're in the seamless summer option, or SSO program, than in the past. This option may not be available in subsequent years. The costs associated with starting this program and maintaining it greatly surpass the reimbursements amounts the district would receive. If we offered the program just at Central and Pathways, it would cost just over $112,000 for year one and $80,000 thereafter. If we offer it at Central, West, and Pathways, it would almost double in cost. So JTHS currently offers a full breakfast program at Central, West, and Pathways campus consisting of several entree choices each day. Breakfast is served 6:45 until 8:15 daily. And 6:45 is actually a little bit earlier because we have kids getting to school a little earlier than in the past. JTHS served an average of 570 breakfast meals each day during the 1920 school year, which was the pre-COVID closure. Currently, we're doing about 400 a day, and that number is going up. During the 21-22 school year, JTHS elected to participate in the SSO program. so that all students receive a free breakfast or lunch regardless of family income. So the reimbursement rates, again, are just over $2.45 a meal. This would not cover the added costs associated with distributing breakfast meals outside the established location and hours currently in place. The mandate would require the following additional expenses to meet the breakfast after the bell requirement. We would need to purchase refrigerated coolers and carts to distribute the meals with milk. We would have to employ additional staff to prepare the bagged meals, stock the carts, deliver the meals to every classroom or to carts or kiosks stationed around the building. Additional custodial resources would be needed to empty garbage cans, clean up spills, etc. We would need to purchase wireless laptop computers or iPads and scanners to run the food service point of sale software on each cart. So mobile serving carts or kiosks with a food pan carrier for milk, an iPad or a laptop, an ID scanner, and point of sale software on the low end runs about $3,000 each. And to cover the square footage of our buildings, we would need to add between 16 and 18 of them dispersed across Joliet Central, Joliet West. Serving the meals to students to allow them to eat during class time would be disruptive and would take away from the instructional time. And this would be an additional detriment during a time when social distancing and wearing face coverings is currently required. Serving meals in PE classes will interfere with the class. Instructional time is already lost for kids to go to the locker room, change, and come back up at the end of class. Serving meals from a kiosk in specific locations would cause long lines during a 5-minute passing period. The kiosk will require additional security during the serving times and will require the school to issue late passes because it would be hard to get students all the way through during a passing period. So it's going to cut into the next period. JTHS, we currently start serving lunch at 10:15 a.m. with period 4A. So we end serving breakfast at 8:15. We pick up with lunch at 10:15, which is only 60 minutes after the passing period between periods 2 and 3. So due to the time constraints, the staff constraints, the infrastructure that would be needed, I recommend that JT opt out of this mandate.
Any questions?
It's a lot in 3 minutes.
Any questions?
Yeah, so, I mean, I understand, I mean, are there other ways to do it besides getting an iPad or a laptop? I mean, could we use a paper-based system to cut down on the possible cost for that? I know that seems to be a big concern. I mean, I guess part of it too, I don't really have a big concern, because if we're feeding kids, right, that's an investment too, right? That's an investment in our students. Data points to kids that are fed do better, right? So, I mean, is there an alternative that we've thought of to maybe minimize that impact, the cost?
You know, if you were to use tally sheets, then somebody has to go back and enter them by ID. Even though all kids are free this year, we are still using our point of sale software.
Okay.
And in fact, in the ISBE update today, they recommend that schools not use the tally, even though it is permissible still this year.
Okay.
They want schools to use their point of sale to track, even though they're free.
Makes sense. So, and then if we were to enter into, say, the community eligibility program, because I know we would have to do this if we entered into the community eligibility program, correct?
No.
I believe we have to if we do breakfast after the vote. We don't?
No.
Okay. I'd have to do some looking on that, because I thought that was part of the mandate, that if you do CEP, which we qualify for, right, for both campuses, we have a high enough percentage to continue what we're doing with the SSO, just giving all kids free breakfast and free lunch. We qualify for that with the community eligibility program moving forward.
With the CEP, your reimbursement is different.
Right.
And for instance, you know, it is based on, you get the higher reimbursement based on the number of directly certified students only. The application, free meal students don't get the higher reimbursement in that program.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different in that sense.
Right.
So that's where my question is from, really, and that's why I was sorry that if I miscommunicated, but I wanted a committee of the whole, because I would really like us to engage in CEP since we are allowed to. I know at this point it's probably too late for this year, but really, that is what I want to see done, because, I mean, really at the end of the day, CEP is going to help all of our students, not just our poorer students, but also our middle class students, our lower middle class students, and it's just something I want to see done. So if, you know, and I thought after the bell was going to be part of that. It's not, I understand, but again, if we're going to have it, that's going to take care of some of that cost at the end of the day. But, I mean, whatever we can do to help all of our students do better is what we need to do.
So to add to that, so about 3 years ago, we actually conducted an analysis for the CEP program. And we did present that information to the board. Probably was going to cost us over $300,000 to implement that program. And part of the reason is because West free and reduced or low income numbers are not as high as Central. And so as a result, we essentially start to pay for any student that can actually pay for a breakfast or a lunch. We did promise to the board that every few years we would go through that analysis. Of course, right after we conducted this analysis, the pandemic hit. So for the past 2 years, every student has had free lunch and or breakfast. There is a lot of conversation through the federal government that this may continue. We don't know. However, talking with Brian, we know that this coming spring, we are going to go through that analysis again to see what the impact of the pandemic has done in terms of those numbers, and we will present that information. That's the window opening is in the spring for that program. So we are going to go through that analysis and present that to the board. The difference with the breakfast after the bell, we have the regular breakfast program and we have the regular lunch program. The breakfast after the bell is trying to capture any student who may not be able to make it to school in time for the regular breakfast program. So with the CEP program, it's providing the regular breakfast and the regular lunch. With the opt-out or the breakfast after the bell, especially for high schools, is very difficult to implement, especially for our size. When you're talking about 3,300 students, we have 6 to 7 lunch periods now throughout the day to just try to feed students. To try to feed 3,300 students within 50 minutes, and mind you, we say in 50 minutes, we have to push our bell schedule to accommodate the rest of the instructional period for the day, right? And to even try to do that within 50 minutes would be very, very difficult. So logistically for a district like us, the breakfast after the bell is different. So like, for instance, a K-5 district where students are always in that one classroom, it's probably easy to bring something very quick and it's done. Our students are moving, our students are everywhere. Our campuses are large, 400,000 square feet. So time constraints, schedules, costs, those are the reason why we opt out. Now, any student who's in need, we make sure that a student can come at first period, second period, or third period, and if there's a need there, we make sure that we provide food or anything like that. We have students now who come onto our campus and it's free, and they don't even go to the lunch, area for a breakfast. So we analyze all of those things in the CEP program, and we'll bring some other recommendations to the board, or at least present all of the information to the board in the spring.
Can I also ask, and Mr. Edmond explained this, oh, sorry. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew also, right now, because of the bus situation and transportation, those students are still allowed to get
Yes.
breakfast.
Yes.
So everyone knows that.
Yes.
My question is, have we looked at the data at our students who are tardy, and what percentage of that is the population? Because we do know, we know up here that when students are hungry, it's difficult for them to learn. So have we looked at the tardy data to see the percentage of students who are not here to get breakfast? And is it beneficial, I mean, for our students?
You mean a tardy arrival to school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are the teachers well aware that if a kid is hungry, that they know where to send them to? Because oftentimes teachers feel the need to have snack piles in their rooms for the kids who are hungry, and making sure the staff knows if a kid comes to you and says, I'm hungry, where to send that child.
Yeah, I mean, we have our administrators, you know, the counselors, social workers,
But the teachers,
contact those individuals.
but like the kids are the one coming to the teachers.
Yeah, so then the teacher has the resources to reach
Okay.
out to the staff, administrators, and counselors and social workers for assistance.
Is this opt-out just for the 21-22?
Yes.
Yes.
We have to do it yearly.
Yes.
We didn't do it last year because everyone was free. We thought that was gonna be the same process this year, but, you know, they wanted us to go through this process.
Any other questions? I was thinking about the same thing about people being late and whatever. And they already looked at the bus and the bus time, and they studying that particular time, if we can expand that time or not. I just, when I was discussing this, I was just looking at mainly were we giving all free lunch and free breakfast. And if that's the case, what we just need to do is just to make sure that all the students had the opportunity to get a free lunch. And then Dr. Hampton was sharing that they do have the ability to get a lunch, and they'll make sure that they provided something to eat. The other thing that we need to be cognizant of is that if you start trying to get them to eat in the classrooms, I don't think it should be I don't think it's a smart thing right now, since we have this COVID-19. You would have to reconstruct, you have to do a whole lot of different things. And a lot of us that worked on the SIP days, that was one of the things that we were trying to not have implemented by having this early start rather than a late start. Because a late start brought in more lunches. And every teacher can agree with me. So we don't want to have the same thing happening where we're having our students eat in the classrooms. We'd rather have them eat in the cafeterias. So that's my comment on that, okay? Any more questions for?
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Is there any, if there's no more questions, then is there a motion to close this, this hearing of Joliet Central and Pathways Campus to opt out of the breakfast after the bell mandate?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kennedy?
No. Oh, yes, apologies.
Mr. Edmond?
No. Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm following you.
I put us on the wrong thing.
Yeah, man, you messing me up.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Day?
Yes.
Okay, now this is the one that's supposed to have a motion to approve breakfast after the bell hearing, the motion to opt out. Right? Is that? I'm correct?
Yeah.
Right. Right, request opt out of this one, that's B. Roll call, please. I mean, motion. I'm sorry.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
So, yes.
Thank you. Mrs. Guerrero Numer?
No.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
C, approval of 2021 budget, 21 and 22 budget. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Roll call,
Yes.
please. Go ahead.
Just have a quick comment. From the tentative budget presentation, just wanted to share final numbers for the final budgeted numbers for 2022. For revenues, $133,794,000. Expenditures, $122,701,000. We're projecting a surplus of about $11 million. And just so you know, you see final numbers from the state in regards to evidence-based funding. For this year, we're receiving an additional $2.3 million based on the funding formula from the state. We also expected to receive about another $1.3 million in what they call the corporate personal property replacement tax, and that's for corporations that do not pay taxes to school districts. They collect those monies from the state, and then the state distributes those to governmental entities. In addition to that, all final grants are in this budget, meaning ESSER 2, R, and all title, IDEA grants, and expenditures related to those grants. So we're asking for the board to approve the FY22 final budget.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Namera?
Yes.
D, governmental agreement, Swawick. Can I get a motion to approve?
I so moved.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Yes, for the past 12 years, the district has provided breakfast and lunch meals for students and staff at the Joseph E. Fisher School, which is part of the Southern Will County Cooperative for Special Education. The cost of the meal is $2.35 per student for breakfast and $3.50 per student for lunch. Adult meals will be charged a la carte prices using the JTHS faculty prices. SOIC will pick up the meals from Joliet West High School upon agreed time. So the administration is recommending the board approve the agreement between JTHS 204 and the Southern Will County Cooperative for Special Education.
Thank you, Dr. Hampton. Any other comments or questions?
Just thank you for doing this. I think this is great that we help out and reach out and work with other schools. So
Yes.
thank you for this. Nice job. Well done.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Guerrero Namera?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mr. Stiff? Mrs. Stiff? Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Transportation Intergovernmental Agreement with Rockdale School District 84. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes, for over 24 years, the district has provided transportation to Rockdale for athletics, regular and special education. Attached is the Intergovernmental Transportation Agreement for Rockdale. We're asking for approval for the Intergovernmental Transportation Agreement for Rockdale District 84.
Question?
We provide transportation for them for athletics?
Yes.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Being from a smaller school.
That's right.
Yeah,
That
that's
is.
outstanding.
That's
That's a
outstanding.
huge cost to some smaller districts. That's
Yeah.
great that we do
Yes,
that.
it is.
That's outstanding.
But with our current bus driver scenario, it's outside of our own.
Yeah, so, yeah, we take care of our needs first, and then we assist Rockdale.
That's great, though.
That's one of our feeder schools. So, no, that's part of our feeder school, so we want them to come.
Right?
Yeah.
And then keeping the kids involved.
So we want to keep that door open.
Extremely important. Thank
Right.
you.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn,
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Nomera,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff, Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Edmund.
Yes. We have special services agreements. Question or comments? No? Okay. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Question and comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Edmund,
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn,
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Nomera,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Coffey,
Abstain due to potential conflict of interest.
Mrs. Stiff,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy.
Yes.
Okay, memorandum of understanding, G, between the Illinois Department of Human Services, Will County Health, and JTHS 204.
So moved.
Motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Questions or comments?
This is an annual partnership that we work on to provide additional support in our health classes. So this is continuing the partnership.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn,
Yes.
Mr. Edmund,
Yes?
Mrs. Guerrero-Nomera,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff.
Mem- Memo of understanding between Joliet Public Library and Joliet Township High School. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Question or comments?
This is a partnership we entered into last year with the Joliet Public Library, and this helps our students get library cards. So it's for any student who lives within the Joliet Public Library District, as well as any student who doesn't have a library where they live. So it's a really nice partnership to continue.
So that, would that include, sorry, unincorporated then?
If they don't have a library,
Okay,
yes.
awesome, thank you.
Any other questions? Any more comments or questions? It's good. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Stiff,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Edmund,
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn,
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Nomera,
Yes.
Mr. Bean,
Yes.
Mr. Coffey.
Yes.
Request for home visit liaison. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
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 Question, comments?
I'm just really excited to see what we're able to use for the American Rescue Plan grant. I mean, that's money that's been provided to us, so this is something awesome that we can help, facilitate some more stuff for our kids, so it's great.
Thank you.
And I just want to go back to what was happening during COVID while the kids weren't in school, just seeing people going above and beyond to visit our children at their schools, to get them engaged, to make sure their laptops were working sometimes, to trade things out, to make sure they were eating. I mean, it was just great to see. I saw some posts by parents talking about it, how helpful it was. So I think this was needed, this is going to be helpful, and I'm grateful for it.
Very good. Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff,
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Edmund,
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn,
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Nomera,
Yes.
Mr. Bean.
Yes.
Mr. J, I want you to approve policy 604. The FY 21 administration and teacher salary benefit report.
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
Yes, I'll speak to this. Actually, I'll speak to both this agenda item and the next one.
Thank you.
Per school code, we are required to present to the Board of Education the administrator and teacher salary benefit report. Once approved, that's been posted on the website. The other part to this school code is for any non-certified staff, or we call Illinois Municipal Retirement or IMRF employee that makes over $75,000 to also be reported, and then that information is presented on the website also. That speaks to agenda item J and K.
And one quick clarification, this is for technically last year.
Yeah,
correct?
so for the administrator and teacher salary report, it's last year's information, so FY '21. For the IMRF employees, it's the current school year.
Okay, thank you.
So we're gonna do a double whammy on this one. So I need a motion to approve J and K.
Yeah, we can. We have a motion for J
Oh,
already.
okay, well, sorry. You got a motion on J, so we're gonna cover, with that motion, we're gonna cover J and K. So any questions and any more comments? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Namir?
Yes.
L, Crisis Prevention
We
Institute.
still have to approve K.
Oh,
The motion was only for J.
oh, that's only for K?
Yeah,
I mean,
you've
okay.
given us the upfront.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to do it upfront.
Thanks a lot.
I was trying to do it quick, but too.
He's ahead of the
Anyway,
game.
I know, you didn't let me slip by that one, did you?
That's right.
Anyway, can we get a motion to approve K?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
No, the comments was already made,
Yes.
so now can we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Guerrero Namir?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. L, Crisis Prevention Institutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Second? Yes. Question and comments?
Just excited for this. This is gonna be great.
Yes.
I mean, and the biggest component of this is the de-escalation strategies
Right.
too, right? It's not, any of the other stuff. To be able to stop a fight before it happens is probably the most important thing that we can do. And that'll definitely make the buildings, a lot better off, right? If we can stop things before it's an issue, that's huge for us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Not roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Namir?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff? Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes. Yeah, Hanover Research Renewal. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments?
Yes, this is a contract renewal. We've been using Hanover for a few years now. And the benefit for using Hanover, first of all, is that it's an outside consultant to do evaluation. A single item evaluation that we've done before could cost $40,000 by itself. So this allows us to evaluate multiple projects or initiatives throughout the year. We also get access to their library of research, which is always growing, also professional development opportunities. And so it has been a great resource for us. We found them to be on point with things that we're needing information on. Also, we've been able to reach out to them as things arise and say, can you look for information in this? And so that is, the request is to continue the contract for an additional year, beginning in December.
So I do have one question. So you
Yeah.
said we've done, if you ask for one thing, it could cost 40,000, and this, it costs 45,000 for
Yes,
a year, and we
so-
can use it multiple times then?
No, when we've done standalone projects,
Yeah.
and again, this was prior to utilizing Hanover, we would partner with a consultant. We partnered with analytics, we partnered with individuals such as Seth Cooper, who did excellent work for us, but one project could cost the same amount as what Hanover costs. The other option is to hire a psychometrician to be on staff, and that would be an annual cost probably of $150,000. And the benefit of using Hanover is they have hundreds of researchers on staff. So we are paired with a client relations team, and depending on the area that we are looking to research, they then pair us with further members on the team that might be their area of expertise.
Okay.
So that's been the benefit to utilizing Hanover, because we have access to expertise in various areas.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So that 45 will include a custom research if we so choose?
Yes, and so the ideas, we meet with them, the point people are myself and Mrs. McDonald, and I've been one of the point people for as long as we've been utilizing Hanover. And then consulting with our administrative team, we talk about, what our goals are for the year. And then we plan with them out, like, what surveys are we gonna do? Discipline dashboard. Right now, they have worked on the reading and math data with STAR. Our parents should have just received their STAR results for the start of the school year. I know I did as well. So they will gauge how our students are doing based on the projected national scores, and then they create a dashboard, and then compare that to last year too. So those are some of the examples.
So they do all of that for us inside of this cost?
Yes.
That's great.
The factor is us working with them to make sure we have our data ready to send over, and huge shout out to the continued work of our technology department, who has our data in a really good place. So we're able to get data to them fast, but we've also used them for surveys about remote learning and about discipline. They did a huge math project for us. So, in the future, we are looking to, get some evaluation on our ESL initiatives, on our restorative practices initiatives, and then continued work on math, which has been an area of focus. So that was reflected in there, and, again, we might not get to all of that this year, but those are the things that we have, in the queue.
Yeah, but that provides us with much better value than just getting one thing for 40,000 versus this, so that's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, once we get through all the things that we're getting through, maybe we can start working on some of all this data that we have accumulated.
Amen to that.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Namera?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
And N is personal reports, policies 5-30 and 5-180 and 5-185, and then 5-210. Now, that deals with a lot of professional reports and policies, and also our classified policies, like professional resignation requests, professional leave of absence, professional retirement requests, professional extra pay recommendation, professional overload requests, professional salary advancement requests, professional additional assignments recommendation, professional employment recommendations, classified retirement requests, classified termination requests, classified resignation requests, classified leave of absence requests, classified change of status recommendation, and classified employment recommendation.
All right.
So that's 14 items. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve 1 through 14.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
Just a big thank you to everyone who's engaging in overload. I think
Yes.
we're having it's an interesting year to start the year, and anybody who's willing to step up to the plate, big thanks.
Okay. And then, unfinished business.
We'll roll call first.
Oh, sorry, roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Edmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero-Namera?
Yes.
Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Unfinished business, they're killing me. No. New business is 5-year review, and A, and then we have B was the first reading of the policies.
Yes, and so, this is the time of year when we get, updates from press, and so within your packet is first reading of, A, 5-year review, and then B, first reading. And so, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board, minor changes due to legislation, and then at the next meeting, we would, be asking for the board to take action on this.
Any questions? All right. Board reports. This is the time where we leave it open to any announcements from the public, comments.
I just wanted to ask if we could revisit the idea of having the committee of a whole before meetings whenever possible, like we were doing before. And again, I'm sorry if you didn't understand, that's what I was asking for. But I just think it would be really great if we could do that, communicate more together, especially with our new board members. And that's what I'm requesting.
Okay. We was kind of trying to implement that for October. I already had that in the.
It would be great if we did it every single month. I got you.
Okay.
And then I think we do have public comment.
We have public comments?
Leslie Bertello.
Thank you for your 3 minutes of comments. Thank you.
I'm here on behalf of my son and 38 other healthy unvaccinated children who were quarantined after testing negative on days 1, 3, 5, and 7 with no option to test to stay. I received a call on Tuesday telling me my son had to be quarantined. I told the lady that I was speaking with that no, you do not quarantine healthy children. I said I would need a letter from the Illinois Department of Health, which I have a copy of one right here. And she did not know what I was talking about. She said she'd have somebody call me back. No one ever called me back. I sent my kid to school on Wednesday. He went to first period, no problem. After arriving to second period, he was sent to the office. The office then immediately told him he had to leave the premises. No one ever called me to tell me to come pick up my kid. So I called the school on the way to pick him up 47 times. I finally got a call. Somebody finally answered, transferred me to the nurse's office. I got the machine. I hung up, called back. Was sent to Joanne Wooten, who told me that she could not answer any of my questions. I needed to call the health department, which I did. The health department said it was the school's responsibility. School was saying it was the health department's responsibility. She then overspoke me, yelled at me, and told me if my son did not leave the premises, he would be arrested for trespassing. Why are children that are quarantined, how come their siblings are able to go to school? Why was my son sent out of the building without notifying a parent? Why are the rules different between vaccinated and unvaccinated children? How many children died from the age of 17 from COVID? Not many. How many children died from suicide, drug overdose, or car accidents? My son is a junior. He has been inside the high school building a total of 9 months. That is unacceptable, and I think you guys ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Thank you.
Next
Thank-
we have, I'm sorry, Mr. Edmund.
I was just going to say, we definitely always, any comments that's ever made, we'll get back to you in response to your comments.
Sorry, Mr. Edmund. Lori Roll.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I actually came as moral support, but I put my name down just in case. And so I am, as an outsider looking in, I am a graduate of Joliet West. But what I've been hearing tonight from this board and from what's being said, you talked a lot about things. I mean, just things. I mean, you spent an awful lot of time talking about breakfast and lunch and food and this. But I haven't heard much talk about content of what the kids are getting. You talk about a program to try to help kids that are struggling, but no details on how you plan to make that happen. You know, how
how much money gets thrown away? How many thousands of dollars get thrown away with these lunches and breakfasts that aren't eaten? But as it goes around, I mean, I was trying to make little notes as far as, you know, one of the things I noticed that Joliet High School District 204 is committed to cultivating an inclusive community that values and embraces diversity and respects the humanity of all people. And from what I just heard and from what I'm going to hear from other mothers, I don't think you're respecting the diversity of opinions, diversity of what a family feels. Vaccinations, I mean, you should all know, and I'm sure you do, that any vaccination takes 5 to 10 years before it's really approved for the public. I mean, under dire circumstances, that changes. But we all right now are the guinea pigs. And if someone doesn't feel safe for their child or their family, they shouldn't be penalized for it. And if somebody is, nobody is speaking about this elephant in the room. I mean, you're talking around every other thing except what really matters now. Getting your kids acclimated back to school. How is that happening with this? How is that happening when they can't talk to their friends? They can't lean over and whisper. They can't, you know, this is different times, but like she said before, there's only been, in the U.S., 439 children reportedly dead, this is off of CDC, that have died of COVID. That's it, out of 658,000. That's such a small number for schools to be penalizing the children. I mean, I know you have rules that the state and the federal government pass down, but I would hope that common sense and compassion for what you do for a living would play into it, because you're all here because you care about children. You know, I mean, you do. And I realize that, and I think everyone else does too. But I'm not hearing that, and it's very disappointing. And I'm sorry to say that. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. James Newberry?
Newbie.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. No comments tonight. Thank you.
Carrie Marchiniak?
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Carrie Marchiniak. I'm an educator, not at Joliet West, but in Will County. And I am here today, first of all, I would like to say thank you to everyone, because I know what it's like being back in school, and I appreciate everybody being a part of making us able to be back here in school and in a safe environment. The reason I'm speaking tonight is about the shield testing. And I have emailed my concerns. I have spoke to several other districts, principals. I have spoke with a coach or two here and some teachers. My son is a sophomore. He is unvaccinated. I am vaccinated. He chose not to. I'm not going to make him. What we have at Joliet West is called a shield test. It is mandatory at Joliet West. It is not mandatory at Minooka. It's not mandatory in Plainfield. It's not mandatory at JCA, and I just spoke to Lockport. It is not mandatory in Lockport. It's an optional. So what I'm talking about is a COVID weekly shield test for unvaccinated kids that want to play a sport. If you are unvaccinated, you have to opt in, or you cannot play. Okay? Sounds safe to me. I'm a teacher. I want to be safe. I want my kids to be safe. Well, shield is not 100% accurate. It's not. And there are false negatives and there are false positives. And I'm on Facebook. I don't take my anger to Facebook because I'm an educator and I always want to go to the source first. And I know that there are some parents who have expressed their concern with a false positive. It happened to me. It happened to my son. I couldn't believe it. I panicked. I got test after test after test. He has no symptoms. He doesn't have COVID. He is the reason the sophomore football team is shut down. He doesn't have COVID. I have doctor after doctor. They sent out lab. It took days from facility after facility. He doesn't have COVID. He is the one false positive on the sophomore football team is the reason what happened. So now we're looking at the shield test as the test to stay is what I've been told as a parent. These kids can test. They can test on days 1, 3, 5, and 7. And as long as it's negative, they get to stay in school, which is so important. And they get to play their sport. So let me go back and tell you what happened. Wednesday, my son came to me and said, Mom, I didn't know I was supposed to test. I drink water. My teacher did not put the slip on my desk. He came home and I thought, what could water do? Thursday, I got the results and I screamed, positive. I teach special ed. I teach kindergarten. Oh my God, I tested myself. I tested my kids. We don't have it. Matthew doesn't have a symptom. An email came out Thursday night from Millsaps. The whole football team needs to test, which is why we have our shield testing protocol. No food and water an hour before. You cannot do it. I immediately reached out and I begged. I said, Matthew did not have that slip on his desk. He drank water. Please, please let him retest. I will take off work. I know he doesn't have it. I received a phone call from the AP Friday, Miss Wooten. Very kind, very, very kind. I appreciate the phone call. I appreciate her taking the time to talk with me. And she said, I will reach out to Shield today. I don't know when I'll get back to you, and I will let you know what they say. She called me later on that evening, Friday, about 5 or 6 o'clock, which again, I appreciate. It is after hours. And she said, I'm sorry. You cannot test. Most likely than not, the water would have come up with an inconclusive and not a false positive. I apologize. The Will County looks at it as one positive, you must quarantine. Very, very upset. By that point, I had 2 negatives. I had 2 others sent out. Then the football game got canceled the next day. Very disappointing for our boys who all they want to do is be back in school and play football. Then we were told, the boys, which I'm already in tears, I haven't slept for my son, and now my heart breaks for these kids who just want to play football. Okay, the unvaccinated, you test Monday, you test Wednesday, we have this shield test. You can test negative, stay in school, and you can play sports. They're not. They tested negative on Monday, and now they are quarantined. So why am I here? I'm here because I'm upset because, yes, the shield testing is new. Why are we mandating it? The whole purpose is to stay in school, and that is not how we are utilizing it. And there is a false positive. I am one of it. Until it happens to you, it stinks, and I am not the only one. I know for a fact there's other students. I know the parents, and it happens. It is not 100% accurate. I'm upset. I'm upset that my son missed homecoming. I'm upset that my son can't be in school. He can't play sports. And I'm upset for those other 25 kids that have to take the brunt from my son's false positive test. I'm upset as a parent. I don't know what to do. I'm not going to just talk and sit. I was hoping we could talk about this. Oh, gosh. I'm sorry. I'm hoping we can come up with an answer. I don't know why it's mandated other than test to stay, and that is not what it's being used for right now. Any comments? Any questions? I'm here for help. I am here for help because until it happens to you, I don't know what else to do.
Well, we will try our best to get you respond to your concerns through the superintendent at a later time, okay?
Does anyone have any questions about what happened to me or why we're doing it? Are you all aware of that we're mandating it and the other high schools are not? And the purpose is the test to stay, and that is not how it's being used right now?
I just want you to understand this. This is not the forum to have a dialogue with you.
Okay.
This is a board
Expressing my
This
concerns.
is a board meeting in the public, not a board meeting with the public.
Got it. Thank you for
Okay, thank
clarifying.
All right? So we respond back to you through our superintendent.
I
to
do
your
want to add
concern.
one more thing. I've also been in contact with the Will County Health Department, and there is a disconnect between the Will County and the school. I feel like we're going back and forth and blaming each other. I think there needs to be, someone needs to say what is what it is.
We'll definitely get back to you, okay?
Thank you. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Davis.
I really kind of just put my name in there just in case anything came up, and her comment actually struck a chord with me. The reason why my son didn't join cross country this year is because of the whole testing. And he missed out on quite a bit, just like every other student did. But it was his choice. I wasn't going to force him to test, and I am definitely not going to force him to take the vaccination. He is almost an adult, and I appreciate the time that he took to research it, and I respect his decision. I really feel like the school board might not respect the same decision if they're put up against a wall, just like with the mask mandate. So I just wanted to list something that I had came across. In 1897, the Illinois Supreme Court, Potts versus Breen, a smallpox vaccination was put upon school children. Any child not vaccinated was not allowed to attend a school. That was enforced by the Board of Health. The Board of Health, the Illinois State Board of Education, School Board, and Superintendent, Legislative, were never intended to confer administrative bodies such as test power over rights and liberties of citizens for a vaccination. The same with the vaccination, the same goes for the testing. It's a tool. It's a tool used for this. They voted against it then, and I hope to God that they vote against it now. These students have been through enough, and a lot of these kids are making the decision for themselves based on what they have found, like my son. And I think we should just respect, if it ever comes to this, where you guys are forced to make this decision for these students, I really hope you would all respect their decision. Because I know right now my decision is not respected, because I do work for the school, not the school district, but another. So I just thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
That's all, Mr. Redmond.
Thank you for your comments. And, thank you for your comments. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lynn?
Yes.
Mrs. Guerrero Namara? Mr. Bean?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mrs. Stiff?
Yes.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Edmund?
Yes. Have a good night and have a safe night.